nonetheless. Joining us now is Senator Michael Bennet, Democrat of Colorado and a candidate for president in the Democratic Party. Senator Bennet, it is great to see you. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
It is not the most important thing that happened today, but because you were there, I have to ask you if I'm right that there was a member of the Senate who sort of shouted something to Chairman Schiff at that moment.
I think there were a few who felt aggrieved that there was some implication that they were scared of Donald Trump or they were doing Donald Trump's bidding, and that's why they responded the way they did. Let me tell you why I'm aggrieved, and it goes to the stuff you guys have been talking about tonight with this new tape. When I'm standing in this building and I'm thinking about what the logical places we may end up next week. We just had a House investigation that was thwarted by a president who claimed the broadest privilege that any president has ever claimed in American history. He didn't turn over one piece of evidence. He didn't have one witness testify. Now we're having a Senate trial where there are no witnesses and there is no evidence. And if this president is acquitted on this basis, this whole building will be rendered powerless for the future, because any president that has a subpoena in the context of an impeachment or anything else can simply say, I won't do it, because that's exactly what Donald Trump has done. It would be far better if we had evidence and documents, even if in the end they voted to acquit. At least they could say, we listened to the evidence, we took in the witnesses. If they do it on this basis, it means that a president really can be a tyrant, and we will have no role going forward, and the chamber will be powerless.
Senator, do you feel that the Senate's decision on that point as to whether or not they should get evidence and they should hear from witnesses, is it all being affected by the fact that, on shows like this, on nights like this, in the middle of the trial, we're getting more evidence about the president's behavior made public?
It absolutely should affect it, because the public is watching your show and other shows across the country. Probably not as many are watching other shows than are watching your show. But they're watching it and they're learning from it. And I swear, these people are going to have to go home and say, first, President Trump stonewalled the House of Representatives in a completely non-historical, with no precedent. And then you, the senators, had the chance to listen to witnesses and listen to evidence, and you chose to ignore that, and then at the same time all this evidence is coming out on your television sets. I think very quickly that becomes an untenable position, and frankly it should be in their interest to have this evidence, because if it exonerates the president, then they're in a better position, and if it indicts the president, they will not have voted to acquit him when he should have been indicted. And ultimately the evidence is going to come out one way or another. We should probably have it come out in a way that doesn't destroy the United States Congress. That, I think, would be helpful to the American people.
Senator, it's Lawrence O'Donnell. Adam Schiff made a very important legal point in the middle of his argument tonight when he was talking about the possibility of subpoenas and obtaining more evidence. He was countering a Republican argument that they've been making off stage, that it would take too long, there would be too much of a delay, there will be challenges to privileges that might be exercised, like executive privilege. And Adam Schiff said, the Chief Justice of the United States, sitting right there in that room in front of you all, can instantaneously rule in that room on any privileges that might be exercised. What was your reaction to that?
I thought it was very important, because they have been saying that it would take too long. And the reality is we're in a trial in the Senate. The Chief Justice is presiding, and he can make those decisions in real time. So that was an important point for him to make. The other thing I think it's important for the audience to know is that this truly is unprecedented. What President Trump has done here, Richard Nixon never did. Nobody else has ever done. Nobody's claimed this kind of privilege. They haven't said, no, I'm just not going to send any documents. I'm not going to send any witnesses at all. I mean, Nixon and Clinton both had people testify, and they both have lots of evidence in their cases. So, I think both these points are really important for people to understand, to see just how important it is for the Senate to hear these witnesses and to hear this evidence. It's not because the case isn't strong. It's a miracle they were able to put together the case they were able to put together with the president stonewalling them. It's because the case is strong that we need to hear additional evidence. As Adam Schiff said today, if you don't have the second article about obstruction, you'll never have the first article again, because you need the second article on obstruction to make it clear that presidents cannot stonewall the United States Congress the way Donald Trump has done it.
Michael Bennet, Senator from Colorado, 2020 Democratic candidate for president, man who has a great opportunity cost in terms of his campaign for being at the Senate this week. Sir, thanks for taking time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.